But yeah, pretty much Abyss League in Path of Exile 2 is now Breach 2.0 in Path of Exile 1. Hello and welcome to this video. Now we're getting the intro out of the way real early, then we'll skip to the actual content, and I'm going to give my opinion on anything and everything that happens. And this is an example. If you were early to the stream, either because your time zone doesn't match up well, for example, it's like 4:30 a.m. here, so it's like a 5 a.m. reveal. You might have started the stream early because obviously once the stream starts, the drops count, but for 24 hours, they don't really have much confidence that people are actually going to watch the reveal. They're clearly banking on people actually watching other people's content after the reveal, talking about what they revealed, not actually the reveal. So that's a bit troublesome. The other troublesome thing is the fact that before the 1 hour mark, they had another timer, which at the 1 hour mark was at 22 minutes countdown to the reveal. So clearly they just phoned it in and put a timer on, and then one obviously had a set thing that kicked in once that 1 hour came in. So yeah, that's pretty much like a bungee rope company also selling coffins. It's worrying. This is the one actual reveal where I am whatever that word is, concerned that they've just phoned in this league and it's not going to be anything great, which will be very disappointing. I'm guessing there's a lot of PoE 2 ideas that they've just put in here. The one saving grace might be if they've added the AFK trade thing they added to PoE 2. If they add that, everyone will say it's awesome, best league ever, pretty much just because of that. But, as I said, I am genuinely concerned that they've just phoned in this league and we're just going to get a hybrid breach sort of thing, and it's going to have either Sentinel or Necropolis type stuff that they had left over on the floor, and it's going to be just, here's a league, play it, we got better things to do, we're thinking about Christmas, we're thinking about our holidays, so here's a league that you can play, we'll try to do better next time. But hopefully it's great, but we'll see, and obviously we'll be back when it's actually going to be revealed. As the time ticks down to 0, let's get ready. Now hopefully everything is all good, sounds not too loud.
Jonathan Rogers.
We, the keepers of the flame, serve the will of the dreamer.
So monks.
His instructions whispered from beyond the wall of sleep. But now, the Hiveborn are here, on Rayclast, and they seek to poison our world.
What'd I say? Breach.
We must close their breaches, destroy their hives, slay their breach lords.
So it's Breach 2.0? Cyclone might be getting a buff if they're showing it in their showcase.
And by his gifts, The dreamer provides. They brought this
That was a
war to
unique
our
drop.
world, but we shall end it, whatever it takes.
So yeah, Path of Exile 2, Breach update. We're testing in Path of Exile 1. Wasn't that the last league's bosses? So they're gone core.
Now, as you can see, this expansion is a true sequel to the Breach League, first introduced to the game in 2016. We felt like it was time to progress the story of Breach, bringing with it a slew of new updates to the base game. In today's stream, we'll take you on a deep dive into Path of Exile Keepers of the Flame, beginning with the League mechanic, covering all the fearsome challenges it presents, and
So
the
yeah,
new twisted ways you'll be able to empower your
they
character.
didn't know how to
After
update
that,
Breach
we'll dive into the
in
newest Senate options
Path of Exile
possible with
2, so
Bloodline
they've
policies.
added to Path of
Then we'll
Exile
cover the
1, try to get
much-anticipated
all
and
the bugs
synchronous
out of
trade
it
system coming
probably,
to Path of Exile 1.
and then bring it over to Path
Afterwards,
of
move
Exile
into the
2.
new Uber Pinnacle bosses, how to access them, and some new drops worthy of the added difficulty.
Doubt it.
Finally, we'll cover some notable quality of life improvements before moving on to our supporter packs and challenge rewards. We'll then have a live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask Path of Exile's game directors Mark and myself your questions from Twitch chat. And after the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 AM New Zealand time or 3 PM Pacific. So let's get started. I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, Game Director on Path of Exile. Breach is a beloved league that has had an iconic history in PoE. We intend to honour that legacy with our first ever sequel league, Keepers of the Flame. This develops every aspect of Breach, adding new layers to discover, richer lore, scarier bosses, and entirely new mechanics. That said, this is still Breach, so you will still be opening breaches and slaying hordes of otherworldly monsters. The Breach Lords have found the means to stabilize the connection between their realm and Rayclast. Now, with their grip tightening, we learn their true goal in our world, conquest. The threat they pose has now escalated to home soil. On the coast in Act 1, you'll encounter Aelith, the founder of the Keepers of the Flame. This is a monastic order sworn to defend Rayclast from the Breach Lords. The exit to the Mudflats has been barricaded by Hiveborn, breach monsters that are working to claim every inch of Rayclast.
Seriously?
Aelith can grant you a small spark of the power of the Flame, allowing you to blast away their barricade and move onwards. Once you enter the Mudflats, you'll find it infested with breach monsters. They appear to be constructing a kind of hive, creating strange shapes and structures that absolutely don't belong. Time to purge them with fire. Aelith needs you to protect her as she empowers the flame to do so.
So at level 2 you gotta
Hold
take
off
on
the
all
assault
this.
long enough, and she'll be able to demolish the hive with cleansing flame.
Where's the rowers? Hopefully they took away the rowers.
In other areas, the gap between worlds is strained. Here, you'll find a more familiar encounter with a new twist. A massive breach hand sunders the space between dimensions, and touching it will open an unstable breach, causing monsters to flood in. If you can slaughter them quickly enough, you can stabilize the breach. This brazen action can draw the attention of Vroon, Marshal of Zesht, who will do everything it can to stop you. Defeating this boss will permanently seal the breach, severing another connection between the Breach Lord's world and Rayclast. These stabilized breaches are similar to what a breach once was, but with upgraded monsters, a success condition to shoot for, UI tracking to keep the player informed of their progress through the encounter, and satisfying
Might need a
feedback
loot
when you
filter.
do manage to complete the encounter. We've taken all the lessons we've learned since the release of Breach 9 years ago and improved upon it in every way we can. However, much of the joy of Breach came from its simplicity. While we want to modernize the mechanic, we don't want to undermine the core experience. you're still mostly just slaughtering hordes of enemies in a circle. Finally, in endgame areas you might run into breach constructions that have been left unopposed for too long and have grown into their full twisted glory. Breach hives. Towering flesh-crafted
you
cities
go
in
in.
the sky. These are the visions of the Breach Lords made real in Rayclast, teeming with breach monsters.
Yeah. So
You must
PoE
raid
2
and destroy these
Abyss.
cities with the help of Aelith and her flame.
Fair enough.
In some of these hives, you may even encounter some of the Breach Lords themselves, who will not be happy you're intruding on their planned conquest. Now, let's talk loot. Of course, being an exile is hard work, and you're unlikely to help entirely out of the goodness of your heart. Fortunately, Aelith has power and rewards aplenty, born of the Breach Realm itself, to offer you for your assistance. Help her, and she'll bring you to the Monastery of the
hideout.
Keepers, the hallowed halls of her order. Here, you'll find the Genesis Tree, the growing heart of the Keeper's power. On interacting with it, you'll
That'll
find that
probably
this
be a
tree
hideout.
has a tree. That's right. It couldn't be Path of Exile unless the tree also had a tree. More importantly, the Genesis Tree is an engine of unholy creation.
So you
and
get
a profitable
credits
one.
to spend on it.
As you complete breach encounters and work more with Aelith, you'll be able to grow the Genesis Tree larger and larger, sprouting additional limbs. Each of these limbs, you'll notice, has their own inventories. These can be used for an unusual method of crafting new items. With this system, you'll be able to grow currency, uniques, equipment, and a new kind of otherworldly item, grafts. Grafts are breach hands grown directly from the Genesis Tree, born of the same flesh and sinew as the invading monsters. These fuse directly to your body, in a completely safe process. Don't worry about it. With grafts, you can harness the power of the breach. Some provide passive benefits like
Lightning damage.
this, or this, but they can also grant a wide selection of powerful skills. These graft skills can provide a flexible way to fill gaps in your build, offering everything from damage to potent defensive buffs and crowd control. For
So
example,
Arc is
the battering
probably going to be
Ulgraft
meta.
will call massive arms to erupt from the earth, stunning all those they hit. For some additional pack clearing power, you could consider the Squalling Tool Graft. When commanded, this graft will cast Dance in the White, creating a deadly ice tornado, which aggressively seeks enemies and fires off bursts of ricocheting projectiles when you critically strike with skills.
Yeah, Arc.
For some further utility and a useful buff, try out the Storming Graft. This can be commanded to call down a ring of bolts
9
from
bolts.
the sky that will leave behind the new Radiant
Some more
Ground.
projectiles probably.
Radiant
Both
Ground
boosts.
grants a potent damage buff to allies standing within it and makes their hit
Arc
damage lighter.
and Ice Nova.
If you're simply after raw damage,
Pulse
look
Siphon,
no
maybe?
further than the Erupting Zothgraft, which causes massive eruptions of fire where you command, which then re-erupt when you Warcry.
Ground
There are a
Slamish.
total of 16 different graft types you can grow, each with their own skill. You can
Build
even
AoE.
unlock a second graft slot as you progress through Aelith's questline, so feel free to mix and match Flesh Zone horrors to your heart's content. Now, grafts aren't just here to make you stronger, they are also your means of feeding the Genesis Tree, which needs constant supplies of graft blood to grow anything useful. You can do this by defeating breach monsters, which will leave behind blood that your graft will automatically collect. When you feed this blood to the tree, your allocated passives will be put to work. This section of the Genesis Tree can be used to grow new grafts for you, which the Genesis Tree will then birth in a gruesome display. Basic passives on the tree might increase item rarity of birthed grafts, or the chance to birth additional grafts. These passives can target specific types of grafts, and this passive causes grafts to be birthed with a random amount of quality. Quality improves the amount of blood that can be stored by your grafts. This section of the Genesis Tree births currency items. Basic passives can result in more or better currency. Allocate this passive to sometimes cause a shower of currency to burst forth from the flesh of the tree. Yeah, it's a bit gross, but working with the organic matter of
As
a
long
bunch
as
of
it's
dead
not
otherworldly
OP and
creatures
everyone's
was
just
never
pumping out
going to be a
divines.
clean affair. Grafts themselves are
ruin the
born of a
currency.
different world, so are unmodifiable by most currencies. However, with this passive, the Genesis tree can occasionally grow fleshy mockeries of currency orbs. These function like
So similar to
augmentation
the
orbs,
Abyss League
regal
in
orbs,
PoE 2.
or exalted orbs, but they work on your grafts instead of normal gear. Yep, it's graft crafting. Allocating this passive can result in foul-born currencies. This foul-born exalted orb, for instance, behaves as a normal exalted orb, except it guarantees a higher tier modifier. By locking out a large portion of the lower rolls, a normal exalted orb would be able to hit. The largest section of the Genesis tree is used to grow rare equipment items. For these, you have a lot of agency to influence the type and modifiers on your grown item. For example, you can specifically target boots with a dexterity requirement, with an increased chance for speed modifiers, and reduced chance for cold modifiers. Or maybe you'd prefer to look for a two-handed axe with increased chance for physical modifiers. This section of the tree is for
This is
growing
gonna
unique
ruin the
items.
economy.
Similar to the equipment
Everything's
section,
gonna be
there
expensive.
are passives that let you target growing specific types of uniques or rarer uniques. The process of growth is not always a perfect one, however, and can result in some defects. This
Like?
passive can result in birthed uniques becoming foul-born, which mutates one of the existing modifiers on the item into a new one, resulting in some
Like?
interesting new ways to use that unique. For example, this foul-born quill rain no longer has increased projectile speed, but instead has increased area of effect. Another foul-born quill rain could replace the mana gained on hit with the much more powerful modifier where insufficient mana doesn't prevent your bow attacks.
I'm guessing poison's been
Here are
buffed.
some other examples.
The gold rim.
This passive even gives a rare chance for foul-born uniques to have multiple different modifiers mutated. I'm sure you'll come up with some extremely powerful uses for these. We'll leave it up to you to discover what this mysterious part of the Genesis tree can grow. So, ultimately, you'll be slaying masses of breach monsters, harvesting blood with the aid of your grafts, feeding that to the Genesis tree, growing some items and better grafts, and back again to the slaughter. As with all our challenge leagues, this league will come with a set of 40 challenges to pursue, and completing them will award you with the Keeper of the Flame armor set, allowing you to truly embrace becoming a monk and worshipping the Dreamer.
Yeah.
Now, graft skills won't be the only new tools to play with. In 327, we're also adding a collection of new skill and support gems. Let's go over them now.
PoE2 stuff.
Kinetic Rain is a new wand attack, which covers the ground in unstable kinetic energy. These hazards collapse at the slightest touch, releasing their energies into any unfortunate soul who happens to be standing on them. With enough projectiles and area of effect, an enterprising exile could carpet the world in dangerous kinetic force.
Cast on damage.
Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic power,
Or cast on crit.
causing allied projectiles to ricochet towards targets automatically. Drop one behind a boss and redirect the bolts of your armies. I'm sure you'll find ways to break this one. Conflagration is a new bow attack which rains down fiery bolts from above that stick into the ground and pulse as you approach. Once you get close enough, these bolts detonate, causing ravaging ignites. These bolts chain react, allowing you to create fields of incendiary destruction. Thunderstorm is a bow attack, which creates a whirling storm of wind and lightning where it lands.
So twisters.
While you're within the storm, it will rapidly grow, until it becomes violently thunderous with lightning-infused clouds. At this point, leaving the storm will cause it to detonate, dealing damage to everything within and releasing a flurry of tornadoes in all directions. Attacking with Kinetic Fusillade will create hovering
Cast
orbs
while
of energy.
channeling
These
is
linger
probably
for a
that
few
twister
moments
thing.
above you, before zipping off to nearby targets, chaining between them, then detonating. Living lightning support
AFK
will bring to
bomber.
life living sparks of energy. Elemental minions that zap through packs of enemies with speed and ease. Use these alongside your spellcasting to augment your pack clearing abilities, or find whatever means possible to cover the world in living sparks of ruin.
Arc.
Windburst support unleashes
Again.
chaotic tornadoes as you attack, which ricochet around wildly and quickly. These deal moderate damage as they travel, but will explode into a highly damaging burst when they expire. So it's a choice between scaling their duration up to get better coverage, or down to access the burst more quickly.
Meh.
Kinetic instability is a support gem to go along with the new wand attacks that causes enemies slain to leave behind those same orbs of shimmering energy that kinetic rain creates. One might ponder just how many orbs you can create if you were to use both.
Yeah, but 90% of
In
them's left behind
327,
where nothing
Exiles
is.
will be able to absorb the power of some of the bosses they defeat. These take the form of new Ascendancy class options, called Bloodlines. Bloodline classes are a new means of character customization in the endgame. They are secondary Ascendancy classes that are unlocked by defeating specific endgame bosses. They are allocated with your normal Ascendancy points, and you'll have to choose how many of your points go into the original Ascendancy and how many into your Bloodline class. This means there is a nigh limitless ability to mix and match here, as you could choose to invest just a couple points into your Bloodline, or max it out, and you could take any Bloodline
Show
with
example
any
of
base
the
Ascendancy class that you see
layout
fit.
of it.
To unlock your Bloodline, hunt down the endgame boss whose power you desire, and defeat them, or have a friend help, and claim the power for your own. There are 10 Bloodline classes to discover. Bosses who offer this power are typically associated with past leagues, giving additional reasons to engage with that league content. Let's run over a few examples. The Chaos Bloodline will be offered to you by the Trial Master, if you manage to succeed his final challenge. With his blessing, you can greatly augment your Vow skills in different ways. Priest of Yalmak lets you use Vow skills much more often, while Priest of Kopek makes it harder to build up Vow skills, but makes them far more powerful.
Some
Or
old school
take
Valve
Corruption's Embrace,
stuff
which grants
coming
more
back.
Vow Keystone powers
build-wise.
the more corrupted items you have equipped. The Ashabi bloodline can be gained by, you guessed it, defeating Ashabi. Her abilities are drawn from the 3 types of life force that manifest within as Marian spirits. The Wild Bear rewards you with adrenaline for generating rage. The
Yeah.
Vivid Cat gives your elusive buffs a chance to refresh, as well as making you more stealthy while elusive.
Heist.
The Primal Owl allows your unleashed spells to reoccur many additional times, and get stronger for each time they reoccur.
Meh.
The Nameless bloodline comes from the King in the Mists. Be forewarned, his menacing power comes at a great cost. With the Unseen Hand, you can equip a third
Oh,
ring,
they brought that back.
but you'll have to decide if that comes at the expense of having no amulet, no belt, or no flasks. Unlight Silhouette adds a hefty life cost to all your spells, but they deal additional chaos damage based on the amount of life spent. Of course, there is more to come. What powers might you glean
But can
from
you
delving
kill
deep
yourself
underneath
using
Rayquaza
it?
to fight all the Crystal
If not,
King?
low life builds
What secrets
will
can
be
you learn
taken
from
up.
Lycia, Herald of the Scourge, waiting at the end of the Forbidden Sanctum? As you can imagine, there are countless possible combinations with the system. You could be a Slayer that embraces corruption and vile power, or perhaps you'll play an Occultist that doubles down on their dark power by integrating the Nameless bloodline. We are excited to see what crazy and interesting builds players come up with. In the most recent Path of Exile 2 expansion, the Third Edict, we introduced a much anticipated feature, fully asynchronous trade. It was a fantastic success. So now we're excited
because
to
you didn't have
announce
to deal
that
with
we'll
other
also be
players.
adding this feature into Path of
People
Exile
have been
1.
telling them that for how many
When you
years?
reach Act 6, you'll be able to find Faustus in Lion Eye's Watch. Previously, he just operated the currency exchange. Now, he will also act as a steward for your merchants tabs. These are where you can place items for sale, for direct and instant purchase by other players even when you're not online. To list an item, simply place it in the tab and select a currency and an amount.
That's a very
Once
in-game
listed,
character.
other players will be able to find the item by searching for it via the trade website or the new in-game market search. To purchase something for yourself, it's as easy as hitting this button, which will teleport you to the seller's hideout, where you can view their merchants tabs, buy the item,
And
also
anything
view
else
the
they
rest
want.
of their wares in case something else catches your eye. Every purchase costs a small fee of gold, as Faustus takes his cut. To account for this further drain on gold, acquisition and cost balance elsewhere in the game has been adjusted. Anything you've managed to sell successfully will have your profits collected here, in a separate tab to claim at your leisure. To be clear, previous means of trading, such as via pre-existing premium stash tabs and the website, will still function just as before.
Terribly.
Merchants tabs and the asynchronous trading that comes with them are an entirely additive feature on top of the already existing methods to trade. You might find yourself needing the trade system to buy some upgrades, because this update also introduces 3 new Uber Pinnacle boss fights. These encounters are manifested from the memories of Zana, and in her long torment, they have festered into something truly deadly. These fights offer an imposing challenge, alongside powerful rewards. In order to gain access, similar to existing Uber Pinnacle fights, you'll need to discover fragments dropped by Tier 17 map bosses.
Seriously?
Each attempt at the new Uber Pinnacle fights will require 5 of these. Let's dig into some of the challenges you'll need to face in these new Uber versions. In the original incarnation
I was
of
hoping it
Neglect
was a
fight,
bit
the
easier
statues can be
currency
used
earning.
to block the laser beams to hide
Because
behind,
I'm just going to sell
giving
them.
you an opportunity to avoid being shocked, frozen, or killed. When you run near these statues, they activate and allow you to reposition them. While activated, they will not stop the lasers, meaning you want to position them well, then avoid them. However, in the Uber version of this fight, instead of being a safe haven, the statues will refract the laser beams, causing a ruckus of energy to cover the arena.
Oh, they eat a
Activating
thesaurus
them
to
will
do
prevent
this?
the refraction. So unlike the base fight, where you want to position them well and then avoid them, you'll be wanting to constantly keep these statues active. But then, you have to deal with their assault of attacks. While fighting the incarnation of fear, these fiery orbs will slowly clutter up the arena, locking off portions of it until you bait the boss into detonating them himself with his thrown spear.
Yeah, that was a general
When Uberified,
idea.
these orbs are attached by a flaming leash to the boss, rotating around him constantly. More and more will spawn as the fight goes on,
And he can't
making
destroy
it
him?
even more imperative that you clean them up by cleverly using the boss's abilities
No,
against
you
him.
can. You just have a massive
Normally in the
DPS build.
incarnation of Dread fight,
that
during the bullet hell phase, you
all
have to
these
acquire
guys.
a red rose,
Massive
run it to the
DPS,
boss, then collect a blue
survivability.
rose, doing the same,
Can't beat
causing
him.
it to get heavy stunned,
10
and interrupting
seconds,
its
then
mechanic.
don't bother.
In the Uber version, you have to do the same. But in order to get the blue rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of neglect. And to get the red rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of fear. Good luck. Given the difficulty of these bosses, their reward
Just sell
should be
the
worth your while.
fragments.
Let's take a look at some.
Sell the fragments,
From the
buy
Uber
this stuff.
incarnation of neglect fight, we have Bitter Instinct, a spiky shield that turns retaliatory strikes into preemptive ones, making it just a matter of time before the long arm of justice crushes your foes. Alternatively, you might find Festering Resentment, a poisoned blade with an unending supply of toxins built into the hilt. These toxins are put to
Told you
good
poison's
use,
getting a
causing
buff.
every spell you trigger to be capable of poisoning with all damage it deals, enabling a truly crazy trigger-centric poison ruckus. And from the Uber incarnation of Dread, the Hallowed Monarch, a counterpart to the Dark Monarch, which
No
focuses more
resistance.
heavily on investing into one
Link
or a few
minions.
minions, rather than growing your hordes to massive proportions. Storm Rayclast, with your chosen few at your side, stealing power from your enemies as you go.
Yeah, just sell the
We've got a
fragments.
number
Buy
of
the
quality
gear.
of life changes to bring to 327 as well. Many of which you may have seen already in some of our pre-livestream teasers, but for those who haven't,
You'll learn way more.
Heist is a mechanic which has long frustrated some players who may otherwise have been interested in the rewards it has to offer, but have no desire to
Only
grind
for
through the
about
early
5
progress
items.
of finding and running low-level contracts to get all of the rogues to their maximum level. Well, starting in 327, Heist rogues will automatically begin at maximum level, so you can start your
What's the
dubious criminal career
penalty?
without all the busy work. Points invested into your Atlas passive tree will now
No
be
penalty?
refundable with gold.
Sweet.
Just speak to Kerak to do so. For players who love jumping between strategies,
I didn't have a problem
there's
with
also an option to instantly
unmaking
refund
that.
your entire tree, which of course can now also be done with your regular passive tree as well.
This
Now you can
I
make
like.
all your decisions with no regrets. Well, maybe some regrets. You no longer need to purchase bestiary orbs. You can now itemize beasts for free directly from your bestiary.
They'll make it a
From
little
late
cheaper
Act
to
1, you can now
beast
mass
craft.
identify your items at an NPC in every town, and from Helena in your hideout. This does not require Scrolls of Wisdom at all.
But keep Scrolls of
While
Wisdom
using an
on you
Alteration Orb, you can now hold Alt to swap to using an
during the
Augmentation
campaign.
if one is available. Opening a Blight Chest will now open all other Blight Chests near it. Rogue's disenchanting services can now be accessed from towns and hideouts. Kerak missions
Good-
now have a
good
handy
change if
icon
you're
to show at a
into
glance what kind of mission they are. Holding
King's
down
March.
control and right-clicking on stacked decks will now continuously open them to your inventory, notifying you in chat what the outcome is. If you still want to open them direct to the ground, to let your loot filter provide a dose of dopamine, you can still do that too by also holding shift.
It's
Var
better to
bolts can be
sell
used
them.
on monsters encased
I
in
open them,
essences,
but
to the
it's better
same
to
effect
sell
that
the
remnants
stacked
of
decks than
corruption
open
have.
them overall.
When multiple skill gems are ready to level at the same time, you'll now be able to click this button to level them all up
Be
at
careful.
once.
That
Next up, we're going to be talking
might
about our new League supporter
be a
packs.
little. Oops, I
Today,
leveled up the
we're
wrong
launching
thing.
2 new series of supporter packs, the Champion of Theopolis and the Verdant Magus packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several exclusive
I
microtransactions.
almost like that portal.
As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do
Okay,
not
that
affect
just
your
looks like you
character's
got a
power
bull coming
or
out of your
progression
groin.
in any way. The Champion of Theopolis series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Manifest a champion's ferocity as the Lion's
Good thing it's
Might
not a
unique
sheep.
finisher effect rips your enemies to shreds.
They'll
Open
get
the
old
Champion
quickly.
of Theopolis portal to end your crusade through maps in the style expected of a true victor of the
You'll have to
arena.
have a big hideout for some of these
Defeat
because
your
they're quite
enemies like a
large
true gladiator,
portal
wearing the
things.
Grand Champion of Theopolis armor set. The armor awarded only to the most elite warriors of the Grand Arena.
Would have liked a
Take
bit more
charge of the
Greek.
situation and storm into combat
Yeah,
with the
that just-
Flaming Minotaur's Quicksilver Flask effect.
The Champion's Podium map device rises up to all
Riding
the
a
glory you've
bull
achieved as you activate it.
From behind.
Ascend the stairs and stand atop the platform as you enter your maps. Each flame surrounding the platform
Okay, that's a
represents
better way
remaining use on your portal.
of using that one.
The burden-back belly goat carries all the supplies necessary for a campsite as he travels behind you in battle. When placed in a hideout, instead of roaming around like your other pets, their supplies are deployed, creating a small camp where you can access your stash and providing a place to take a load off while you rest next to the campfire. The Verdant Magus
Yeah, this
series
is
contains
almost
6 exclusive microtransactions.
cool.
Having Faustus sell your items on your
I'd
behalf
like it a
is
bit
great
more
and all,
dark.
but sometimes you just want to feel a little bit more shady about your dealings. The back alley trader hideout decoration is more secretive with your trades, creating distance between you and your customers. Note that until 327 is released, this back alley trader will
I like
only
it.
serve as your currency exchange. Once it's out, it will be updated to have the new managed shop option to also facilitate
Seems a
your
little
trades.
dodgy.
The
But
Verdant Wayfinder
I
pet
like it.
is a loyal companion to any Master Magus. As you approach waypoints, it envelops them with its vines, guiding you throughout Rayclast. Control Earth and nature itself, as the Great Verdant Magus armor set envelops you in the ancient power now lost
So
to
you're
time.
permanently a witch.
There's also a matching back attachment included.
Or a hobo.
Remnants of the forest ripple out from within you with the Verdant Magus level up effect equipped, restoring life
They'll
to the
get old
corrupted
very
land.
quickly.
Call on an ancient golem to use their power to create a safe passage for you to retreat through with the Arcane Golem Portal. As a Supreme Verdant Magus, you can travel to your Arcane Isle hideout. A cluster of islands held together by ancient magic passed down between elite mages. Stand atop your tower and relish the great heights you've reached above those who have not harnessed the arcane.
Only use stuff like that if you're gonna
These
do
packs are now
all of it.
available for purchase on both PC and console and will
way
remain so
better
during Path
that
of
way.
Exile, Keepers of the Flame. Additionally, any microtransactions from these supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 2. Meanwhile, the Crypt Keeper and Frisian Magistrate packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Keepers of the Flame League.
Those Grim
So
Reaper
now's your
dudes
last chance
are
to purchase them.
huge.
Thank
You
you
need a
so
big
much
hideout.
for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post the full patch notes for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame.
Minor stuff that they're gonna change over the next week based on either mistakes or theory crafting. So, Path of Exile 3.27. Breach 2.0. It's good that it got an update. It's obviously something they've been working on for Path of Exile 2. They're testing it out on Path of Exile 1. Get all the bugs out. The Bloodline Ascendancies. I would have preferred if they did a class-specific unlock of Ascendancies, maybe multiple, where you can do it. But it depends on what the rest of the Ascendancies are. I'm not sold on any of them yet. There's obviously ways to use the ones shown, but my personal, where I'm planning on going for the next league, depending on the patch notes, none of them scream, okay, choose that one, get this, drop these ascendancies, because you got to sacrifice ascendancies to get them. So the worse your ascendancies are for the particular class, the more that matters. The more powerful your base ascendancies are, the more useless that stuff is. So keep that in mind. Now, don't interact with Breach early. You're going to be forced to interact with Breach to a certain point by the looks of it. But Act 3, start getting into it. Like, if you got a strong character, it's like either got good DPS or tankiness. Hit them every now and then, but try to get through to at least Act 3, get your first ascendancy, and all that as quick as possible. Ignoring the breach. Try to get to Act 6 as quick as possible so you get that AFK trading. So then you can sell some of the stuff you got, get some currency, get some gear if you are able. And then you can focus on just deleting the content from then on. The new Uber pinnacles from the memory. Sell the fragments. I would recommend just sell the fragments. They'll probably be worth quite a bit because the fact that the boss fights are hard. You can't just walk into it. There's the actual price of the items will probably be a decent amount depending on what people go. but sell the fragments. Uh, looks like arc, anything that is extra projectile, extra AoE, stuff like that seems to be what's going to be useful. Uh, so arc, kinetic bolt, uh, power siphon probably be up there. Uh, I don't expect much nerfs to these. That's why I'm mentioning them. Depending on how some of them work, the ground slam and all that sort of stuff, you're already building AoE. So bringing in that stuff as an extra AoE will actually go good if it works the way it seems to work. So you want your base skill to be either projectiles, so you can go extra projectiles, AoE, so you can do extra AoE, chain, anything that you're naturally building up. Seems like those skills are going to translate into the new little arm skills, and you'll probably do the most damage that way by just adding on, adding on, adding on, and just getting everything just streamlined throughout, not having an extra thing you gotta build up. But yeah, the league looks okay. I guess Sanctum, they still don't know what to do about it. I'm guessing next league in like 4, 5, 6 months we'll get a decent update in PoE 1. But yeah, pretty much Abyss League in Path of Exile 2 is now Breach 2.0 in Path of Exile 1. They're pretty much just done the same thing. But let me know what you think and all that, and I'll get to you next time in the next video, probably with the patch notes and all that, and probably going, see, this. Told you it wasn't that big a deal that I said do this, do that, do this. Catch you in the next video, and goodbye.